Imagine standing beneath the Great Pyramid of Giza. The sun is burning above you. The desert stretches in every direction. Thousands of years ago, this place was already ancient, and today you have been given a chance to go inside. You step toward the entrance. At first, you're excited. You imagine hidden treasure, secret chambers, ancient gold, maybe even something nobody has discovered before. But there is one problem. You don't know how to get back out, and once you enter, you may discover that a pyramid is a very different place from what you imagined. So come with me. We're going inside, and we're not coming out until we find the way back. You stand at the entrance. The enormous pyramid rises above you. From outside, it looks almost impossible to understand. Huge blocks of stone, endless walls, a structure built on a scale that makes you feel tiny. You take your first step inside. Immediately, the desert disappears. The sunlight behind you becomes smaller. The temperature changes. The sound of the wind disappears. Ahead is a narrow passage. The ceiling is low. The walls are rough stone. You have to bend slightly as you walk. Your footsteps echo. Step, step, step. That's all you hear. You turn around. The entrance is still visible. A small rectangle of sunlight. You smile. You're not trapped. Not yet. You continue. The passage becomes darker. You light your torch. The flame flickers against the stone. The walls seem to move as you walk. Not literally, but the shadows make it feel that way. You look ahead. The passage continues. You look behind you. The entrance is now barely visible. You keep walking. After several minutes, you realize something. You haven't seen another person. No workers, no guards, no voices, nothing. Just stone. You stop. The silence is enormous. You can hear your own breathing. You hear your clothes moving. You hear the tiny crackle of the torch. Then, a drop of water falls somewhere in the darkness. You freeze. You listen. Nothing. You keep walking. Eventually, you reach a junction. One passage goes forward. Another seems to lead upward. You stare at both. Which one did you come through? You think about it. You choose the left passage. You walk for several minutes. Then you see something familiar. A small crack in the wall. You remember passing it earlier. You stop. You have been here before. You turn around. Suddenly, the pyramid feels different. You are not exploring anymore. You're navigating. And you don't have a map. You try another passage. This one is narrower. You have to turn sideways to get through. Your shoulders scrape against the stone. You move slowly. The torchlight illuminates only a few feet ahead. Everything beyond that is black. You start wondering how far underground you really are. You can't tell. There are no windows, no clocks, no sunlight, no way to measure time. You check your supplies. A little water, some food, one torch. That's it. Suddenly, the food doesn't look like an adventure snack. It looks like a countdown. You take a small drink, then stop. You don't know how long you'll be inside. You put the water away. Keep moving. Eventually, the narrow passage opens. You step into a massive chamber. Your torchlight disappears into the darkness above. The ceiling seems impossibly high. Your footsteps echo. You take another step. The sound comes back to you. You clap your hands. The echo travels around the room. For a moment, you feel amazed. This place was built thousands of years ago, and you're standing inside it. You look around. There is no treasure, no golden throne, no secret army, just stone, an empty chamber. You walk toward the center. Your torch flickers. You notice something on the floor. Dust. Footprints. Your footprints. You look closer. They're yours. Which means you've already been here. Your stomach tightens. You slowly turn around. The passage behind you looks completely different. You can't remember which direction you came from. You walk back toward the passages. Left, right, up, down. Everything looks the same. Stone. 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 You choose one. You walk. Then another. Then another. The torch burns lower. You stop. You realize you've been walking for a long time. and you're not sure whether you're getting closer to the entrance or moving deeper inside. You shout, "Hello?" Your voice echoes, "Hello? Hello?" Then silence. You wait for an answer. Nothing. You shout again, this time louder, still nothing. That's when the fear really begins. Because being alone in darkness is one thing. Being alone somewhere you don't understand is something else. You start noticing your breathing, not because there is suddenly no air, but because you're thinking about it. Every breath becomes something you notice. You take a deep breath, then another. The torch continues burning. The walls remain silent. You tell yourself, the pyramid has openings. There is air. You're fine. You repeat it. You're fine. You're fine. But your mind doesn't care. Your mind wants sunlight. It wants space. It wants a door. Instead, you have stone. You continue walking. Then you hear something, a scrape. You stop. There it is again. Scrape, scrape. Something is moving somewhere ahead. Your heart starts racing. You raise the torch. Nothing. You move closer. The sound stops. You wait. Nothing. You take another step. A small piece of stone falls from the ceiling. You jump backward. Then you laugh. It was only stone. But now you're listening to everything. Every crack, every echo, every movement. The pyramid has turned you into a nervous wreck. You check your water again. Less than half remains. You stare at the container. You realize you have made a terrible mistake. You were drinking normally, as if you were walking through a city. But this isn't a city. You don't know when you'll leave, so you stop. From now on, every sip counts. Your mouth feels dry. You want water, but you don't drink. You keep walking. Then you see light, real light. You stop. Your heart jumps. A faint golden glow appears at the end of a passage. You start walking faster, then faster. You almost run. The light gets brighter. You can feel warm air. You reach the opening and stop. It's not the outside. It's another chamber. A small opening above allows sunlight to enter. You stare at it. You almost laugh. The outside world is right there. You can see sunlight. You can feel warmth, but you can't reach it. The opening is far above you, too high. You sit down. For a few seconds, you feel defeated. Then, something changes. You hear voices, very faint. You stand. Listen. There. A voice. Then another. You shout. "Help!" Nothing. You shout again. "Help!" This time, you hear something. A distant response. You can't understand the words. But someone heard you. You move toward the sound. You follow the voices. Left, then right, then upward. The voices become louder. Your torch is almost finished. You keep moving. The last torchlight. The flame becomes tiny. You stare at it. This little flame is the only thing separating you from complete darkness. You walk faster. The flame flickers. You shield it with your hand. Another step, another. Then, the flame goes out. Complete darkness. You freeze. You cannot see your hand. You cannot see the walls. You cannot see the floor. For several seconds, you do absolutely nothing. Then you hear something. Footsteps. Someone is coming. You shout. A voice answers. This time, it's close. A beam of light appears, then another. A group of people emerges from the darkness. You have never been happier to see another human being. One person grabs your arm. They guide you toward the passage. You follow. You don't ask questions. You don't care where they're going. You just want sunlight. The passage slowly becomes brighter. You see the entrance. At first, it's just a tiny glow. Then it becomes larger. 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 And finally, you step outside. Sunlight hits your face. You stop. You close your eyes. The desert wind touches your skin. You take a deep breath. Real air. Real sunlight. Open space. You look back at the pyramid. From outside, it looks peaceful. Almost beautiful. You can't believe you were inside that enormous structure. You look at the entrance, then at the endless desert, and suddenly, you understand something. The pyramid didn't need monsters. It didn't need traps. It didn't need ghosts. The real danger was much simpler. Getting lost, running out of water, losing your light, and realizing that a place built thousands of years ago can make you feel completely powerless. You were inside for what felt like hours. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Inside the pyramid. Time had stopped making sense. You turned toward the pyramid one last time. Thousands of years ago, people built this enormous structure using stone, wood, rope, human strength, and extraordinary organization. Today, we look at it from the outside. We take photographs. We admire the scale. We wonder how it was built. But standing inside, it's different. The pyramid isn't just a giant monument. It's a maze of stone, darkness, silence, and spaces so ancient that your mind struggles to understand how long they've existed. You start walking away. The pyramid becomes smaller behind you. The desert stretches ahead. And you realize something. You were lucky. You had a torch. You had water. You had people nearby who knew the passages. An ancient person wandering inside without that help might have faced a very different situation. So the next time you see the Great Pyramid, don't just look at how enormous it is. Imagine stepping inside. Imagine the sunlight disappearing behind you. Imagine the first few steps into the darkness, and then ask yourself one question. If the entrance disappeared behind you, would you find your way out? If you enjoyed this journey through the ancient world, like the video and subscribe to First Human Explainer, because there are still thousands of years of human history waiting for us. And next time, we're going somewhere even stranger. Until then, stay curious, and whatever you do, don't get lost in the pyramid.